I work at Springfield College. We are a primarily sports-based PA, PT school, just very focused on athletics. Birthplace of basketball. John Cena went there. I am coming in as a data 6-7 years experience in different industries, tax and audit, coming into just this higher ed space and learning Argos. So the second institution I've worked at that we use Argos was at Western New England. It was colleague-based before, now we're on Banner SaaS. My day-to-day really, I have a consistent backlog. I have a couple of reports that I send out on a regular daily or weekly basis, get those knocked out, and then go through email, see who's having an issue in which department, get back to them, prioritize timeliness there. So we have a ticketing system, so it's nice to have things come through that way. But a lot of times people reach out because we are such a small college and small team. So they'll reach out in person and I'll go create a ticket for them or ask them to do that so we can track and actually prioritize their needs. And a lot of the time I'll go through and we have a report that they need. And I'll go through and check the different departmental set of data blocks that we have and see, all right, have we met that need already somewhere else? Can we use a data block that we have now to meet their need, just tweak it a bit, maybe take that same SQL and put it into another report and just tailor it to their additional columns that they might need or something like that. So with the registrar turnover that we've had, the registrar's boss and the provosts and such, they are learning that they don't necessarily know everything that they need to know. So being able to explain to them exactly where the information that they need is really important. So I've been forming those relationships within HR and registrar's office and higher up and communicating with the hierarchical structure within higher ed, which I'm getting used to. That's not just a clean slate as it is within private industry, where you have a director and a C-suite, and there's a lot more channels to go through. So my day-to-day really comes down to dealing with the politics of higher ed and getting them their needs. Everyone wants everything all at once, and so trying to bring in data best practices and DevOps best practices into an environment that's never had that before. If I didn't have a tool like Argos, it would be really rough. I've been somewhere that's like that before, where we were creating ad hoc SQL. It was just writing random SQL for different people, having to manage a bunch of different versions of Excel spreadsheets here and there. My second data role ever was coming in after someone who that was their everything. They were the only data person through and through. They didn't have a set of enterprise reporting. They didn't have a core set of data they were pulling from. It was the definitions were all over the place. So I'm kind of in a middle ground now where we don't necessarily have those definitions, but we have that set of enterprise reporting that we can get to those users. So at the very least, previous analysts to myself have built out a good baseline, and it's nice to be able to have Argos and build my skills within that system to better deliver users' needs on a day-to-day basis. I have somewhere to start, which is really, really important. And with being able to copy data blocks, with being able to build different templates, I can really easily and quickly share that kind of structure that we already have with other departments that may have those requests. The most impactful set of reports or data blocks that we've had are within the registrar's office. We've worked really hand in hand with them in the past year or so, especially for class scheduling. I mean, everything from where the class is going to be to who's teaching it to how many students can be in that course. They take that data that we extract from Argos directly from that report that I and others before me have built to make sure registration goes smoothly every single semester. That's a huge one that we rely on very, very heavily. It's we would not be functional without that set of reports. Yeah, and it's nice to have a spot where we can tweak that a little bit as we have a new registrar coming in. Yeah, they can get up to speed on oh, all my information is here. I have everything I need to complete a registration process for these students smoothly. They might have their tweaks, or they might want information removed because the previous registrar wanted everything in the kitchen sink in that report, but we can get them what they need pretty quickly. With Argos, I'm definitely come from a BI visualization background. And so the one thing that I've always wished that Argos had was to have those reports for the higher end users. And I think that's something that I'm really excited about with Argos coming out with. We're planning on transitioning over to Argos X within the next few months, fingers crossed. And it'll be pretty easy to implement those kinds of reports and those dashboards into like the day-to-day use case for all of our users. So HR especially, registrar especially. You got those users that they're used to getting a CSV and wrangling it themselves, just the ability to move around columns or add in a few parameters based on a SQL, data block that I've written. I can, if they need an additional column or row, then I can just import that in, not have that filtered out anymore. Then it's a lot less time on my end trying to build a new report for them, and they have what they need really quickly. So I'm really excited for that. And just, I think having the access to the AI portion, they can ask questions on there that aren't going to necessarily bother me about the data that they're looking at, which allows me to do more important and more pertinent work versus just responding to email all day. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. I would say my advice to anyone who's like looking forward to using a new system. Actually ran into a guy here at Evisions conference who's very new to Argos, and he's very gung-ho. He's been a programmer for a long time. The people I've talked to, they're looking for solutions that get away from the disjointedness of having just spreadsheets lying around, or someone who's been a programmer analyst for a long time at a college. They're used to having multiple folders full of all of their data that they use for IR, financial aid, et cetera. And I think that when I was sharing with this gentleman about what I love about Argos, it was just like, I have everything in one place. I have easy access to distribute it to the users that I need to distribute it to. And it makes my life very, very easy. I barely have any email communication besides in the initial request coming in and then providing them with the solution. Once I've written that DataBlock or report for them, I'm like, here you go, please test it. It lives in this space. It will always live in this space. If you need updates to it, it'll just let me know, and then I can update that same report. And I think that's a huge thing, especially for people in a manager role, in a more of a director role, or someone that's just an end user, an admin that needs to get information for their end users. They just need to get, everyone always wants information right then and there, instantly, and you can pretty much get that with any of the Argos reports. Having Evisions as a partner has been really nice because I know I can go to the help button within Argos wherever and find really good resources for whatever I'm looking at. I was trying to learn how to build banded reports the other day. Immediately just click in there. They have a video to go over everything. But then having like the other users that use Argos as a tool is quite nice. Having the community platform to use is quite wonderful. When I came into the institution I'm at now, a lot of people talk poorly about other companies and just their interactions with them. And Evisions has always been the one that people are like, but the Evisions people are really great. They're always really awesome, very responsive. You can send them in a ticket. You're usually getting a response same day or multiple responses within the same day. And I think that's been something that has stayed true. I'm not the one doing that communication, but all of my coworkers that are the ones reaching out saying like, hey, we have an issue with this sync, or hey, we need help with this area. Renewing contracts, whatever they're doing, they always have a really pleasant experience. And not many people share the pleasant experiences. You often get the bad news. So I feel like if someone's sharing about like, hey, I enjoy these people, from the CIO down to our generalist and admin who's been there for 15 years, they always have something good to say. With Argos, something I really love about it, and I've loved to see the growth within the tools and the systems that they're consistently building out. I come from a Power BI and Tableau background. It's wonderful to see those tools that I really loved about those systems being built in a more intentional way. So having like drill through options with OLAP cubes and learning how to do those things, it's much easier to learn those things with all the tools that Evisions has. And all the users that I get to meet and ask them, like, how did you do that? The thing's really cool. And the willingness to share amongst the community that uses it is pretty rare in my experience. I mean, there are a few people that are willing to share those things, and they often charge money for them, and I've never experienced that within this group.